This is unbelievable now. This is a Fox News alert as we get a report just breaking from the Washington Post, which has just broken big news in this case, if it is accurate. The headline is, this comes from the prisoner who was in the van with Freddie Gray on the day that he was catastrophically injured, which led to his death. Don't forget, the police apprehended him. They put him in the van, and by the time he got out of the van, his spinal cord had been severed. There's been a question all along about whether the injury took place prior to him getting in the van or while in the van. And there was another prisoner in the van from whom we have not heard until now. The Washington Post headline is "Prisoner in Van Said Freddie Gray Was Banging Against the Walls During Ride," and citing a police affidavit, citing the prisoner himself, whose statement was contained in an application for a search warrant. The Post reports that Freddie Gray could be heard banging against the walls, and the prisoner believed that he was, quote, intentionally trying to injure himself. This is from the other prisoner in the van, that he was intentionally trying to injure himself in a case that started all of this, and that has many calling for these police officers, 6 of them in total, to be arrested and charged with murder. This comes as for the first time now, one of the police officers involved in this case is speaking out through a friend, starting to tell their side of the story behind the arrest, the injuries, and the death, ultimately, of Freddie Gray, expressing frustration here over the way they believe local leaders in Baltimore, including their own police chief, has handled this case. Listen here from Anderson Cooper.
He feels that the city has let all the officers down, that they have left them out there to fry for this, and that the mayor and the commissioner, not just the mayor, the commissioner who's on top of them, should have stood by them, and they should have gotten due process by the law, and that's not what happened here.
Joining us now, Mark Furman, a former LAPD homicide detective and a Fox News contributor, and Andell Brown, who's a trial attorney. Guys, thank you both so much for being here. What a headline from the Washington Post, Mark, suggesting that what we're going to hear later is that the prisoner, the only person who actually saw Freddie Gray inside of that van, although they report he couldn't make eye contact with him, he couldn't actually see him, he could only hear him in the van with him, that he believed he was intentionally trying to hurt himself. What do you make of it?
Well, Megan, we don't know that there was a mile-long foot pursuit, so we don't know what Freddie Gray did, what he jumped over, fell over, or what he ran into during that foot pursuit. Then he's in the van, and now we hear this. So I will say that this is so far short of a murder charge, and it's not going to make people very happy, but I can't really see anything but maybe some negligence and getting medical care for Freddie Gray. But I just don't see where they're going to come up with a murder charge. There's not even an altercation with the officer. I
mean, Andell, the problem for those who want to see these cops charged with murder, there are so many. Now you got the guy who was in the van with him, reportedly, according to the detective affidavit submitted in support, saying, I thought he was trying to injure himself. In the meantime, you've got 6 cops, not all of whom even apparently touched Freddie Gray. A couple did the foot pursuit and arrested him. Then there was another one who put him in the van. They're going to be doing this. If you're a prosecutor, how do you make the case for murder against any of these guys?
Well, at this point, Megan, we all understand that we don't have all of the facts. All of the information has not been released. If the information is released and it indicates that, number one, Freddie Gray was visibly injured when he was placed in that van, or that his injury occurred as a result of brutality before he got in the van, or if we look at it and we see that there was what they call the rough ride, something the city of Baltimore has had to settle millions in lawsuits going back to 2006, cases in 2007. And as a result of that rough ride, that failure to shackle him in the van, the injuries he received killed him, then we're looking at the very least an involuntary manslaughter and possibly a murder.
This is another thing that the cop's friend came out and said tonight. They said, go ahead and look at the GPS of the van. Look at it for yourselves. You will see the speed that the vehicle went. You'll see the route it went, and it will not support any sort of a rough ride. And so far as we know, Mark, they haven't produced an eyewitness who would testify to that either, although we could learn more.
Well, you know, Megan, when you look at this, everybody jumped the gun on this, and just because Freddie Gray died in the hospital, everybody points at the police. And all the media coverage now for weeks, I'm surprised that the police haven't blamed everything on the planet, including global warming, on the police. The police are the people that can only do wrong and not right in this situation. Everybody else is making an excuse for somebody, including the rioters. You have to follow the evidence. If it isn't there, then you don't have a case. And I'm looking at this case, and I have from the beginning, and if there's not an altercation, and if there isn't a witness that sees something occur that actually causes this injury, you've got a tough time even charging an officer, let alone prosecuting an officer.
I want to talk to you both about the report now that from this friend of the police officer that tries to explain why Freddie Gray was not shackled in that van, which seems to be one of the key elements in trying to make at least a manslaughter charge against the cops, that they were so grossly negligent that it was foreseeable. And now they're offering a reason as to why that was not done. We will have that for you right after this break, and more on what is clearly an explosive report from the Washington Post tonight. Stay